This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
You all ready for this?
This is a sham.
No. Y'all, just stop.
Get real.
Welcome to DBL. We're just talking patio furniture over here, like good old people we are.
The question is it no longer a patio if you put a pergola on it?
Right.
Why wouldn't it be a patio if there's a pergola?
Because you have a pergola.
The pergola goes on the patio.
Right, but you say meet me under the pergola, not meet me on the patio with the pergola.
Who says meet me under the pergola?
If you said meet me on the pergola, I would leave.
I know, but it makes you see. Okay.
And we're starting the show strong. I love these days. Good morning, everybody. It was a big day for us here. No, I'm kidding. For Republicans, as their convention kicked off in Milwaukee yesterday. Check this out. Former President Trump got a hero's welcome as he entered the event. He was wearing a white bandage, of course, on his injured ear. At the convention, Trump was joined by his pick for vice president. He's junior Ohio Senator J.D. Vance, who, if elected, will be one of the youngest VPs in history at age 39. Almost my age. I'm a little bit younger. Just kidding. Okay. Since Saturday's assassination attempt, Republicans and Democrats have been talking about toning down the rhetoric and focusing on uniting the country. In fact, here's what Eric Trump had to say about it with Savannah Guthrie this morning. Take a look.
Do you think your father is reconsidering some of his own rhetoric on the campaign trail?
Yeah, probably on both sides. I think everybody's rhetoric just needs to change. It does. No one can stop the United States of America if we're together, and I think so much of the tone of this whole convention is going to be exactly that.
Okay, but if you watched the RNC last night, it seemed like many of the speakers did talk about unity, with a few notable exceptions. Like this one, Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson. He gave a very fiery speech saying, quote, "Today's Democratic agenda, their policies are a clear and present danger to America." Now, later, he explained those comments should not have been included. And actually, this is insane. The wrong speech, not the unity one, the more rousing one, was loaded into the teleprompter.
That was in another folder on the desktop.
There were two folders, right? Which way to go? That's
yes.
right. But other speakers also had some sharp comments about Democrats and their policies. So what do we all think about this? What effect will it have on the election? Jeff, what do you think?
He went with the pergola speech, not the patio speech.
Yeah.
That was funny.
No, I do like the sentiment of toning it down a little bit, and I'm glad more people are coming out and saying that. You can't control everybody. People are going to say what they want to say and then come up with excuses after. But if the wave moves to, hey, all of us up here think it's too hot, politically, I think the country feels that. And there's always going to be outliers on that. But if everyone kind of moves to that place, like, we need to tone it down, those voices, the people on the outside, are going to get louder, and they're going to be pushed out.
That's a good point.
Bit. So I do like that. I understand everybody's not going to comply, but I like on both sides that they say the rhetoric is too hot right now and we need to tone it way down.
I thought Eric Trump saying that, I was like,
yeah, I thought that was big.
Shocked by that. What did you think, Erica?
Well, I think that people are realizing that, as we've said a million times, the walls are closing in. If Trump can be a target and actually be grazed by a bullet, I think it's opened up a lot of people's eyes about what is happening and how much of a catalyst this just politics in general have been to so much of this violence and rhetoric. I did watch certain aspects of it, but I did not watch the convention live.
That's how your attorney told you to answer that question.
I'm just being honest. I watched certain aspects.
I watched aspects too.
You did. Can I show a certain aspect and get your take on this, Al? This is Amber Rose, and she spoke, and I thought reached a lot of people. Van Jones says she was the speaker of the night, actually. Take a look at what Amber Rose had to say about Trump.
I'm no politician, and I don't want to be, but I do care about the truth. And the truth is that the media has lied to us about Donald Trump. I realize Donald Trump and his supporters don't care if you're black, white, gay, or straight. It's all love.
I wanted you to hear your response on that, Al, because she really did. If you're in the middle, she spoke calmly. She spoke about a person of colors, a woman's point of view. I thought she raised some points. I don't think they were all true. What do you think?
Well, nothing is, for as much as we've always searched for, we want everything to be black and white. Either, because for a long time people have said, well, Trump supporters are racist. Yes, some of them are, but not all of them. Some have other things that that they are into him for, things that I'll never understand. Some people see him as a father figure. Some people just want a strong man. Some people like his policies. Some people like the religious aspect he brings in. Whatever it is a tent, just like the other party. It's a tent. But I think what Amber Rose is saying there is not true. What we have heard time and time again is that it does matter if you're trans. It does. Ask Bud Light if it matters. Ask Bud Light if it matters. So we can't get to the convention and completely, well, I can't say we, and change your rhetoric that we've been hearing for 4 years. If you were going to stand on your business that, you know, we are basically a Christian party. We believe in men and women. We don't believe in any other gender outside of that. We believe, for the most part, in heterosexual couples having heterosexual children. Then don't get to the speech and be like, hey, look, we are all, it's a music festival here. We love everybody. Yeah. Because we all know that you don't. And that's okay, too. I mean, that's your premise and that's your tent. I don't care, but don't lie to me. This was the segment that I caught was with Amber Rose.
This was an aspect.
Yeah, it was an aspect.
It's a big aspect because it was a change for this administration.
I don't know if it was.
Tell me.
I think people have a right to change their minds. I think flexibility of thought is very important. But right now, this moment, to me, when it comes to Amber Rose, is giving the short line. I've spoken about the short line a lot because when you're a person of color, you're often enticed with more revenue, more eyeballs, more of a following if you do the contrarian point of view to people who look like you in front of people who don't.
Because you stand out.
Exactly.
I see.
And that's what it was giving to me last night. I think that Amber Rose has really made her moment and made her imprint with her slut walks and her feminism and all of those things about women's rights. And it just feels contrarian to say all of these things, not talking about any of the issues that are on the table about women's rights, reproductive health, any of those things.
Exactly.
So it felt disingenuous to me.
And just for, I know we got to go, anybody that didn't really understand what Erica just said in terms of the person of color having to say it,
yeah.
Slavery is a choice. Who said that?
Kanye,
a black
by
man.
the way, the reason why we know Amber Rose is because she was Kanye's muse.
Yes,
oh, wow.
and also most recently,
also ran for president.
Jim Crow wasn't that bad. Was recently said by that the black senator that was a potential VP candidate.
Tim Scott.
No, I don't know if I don't think it was Tim Scott. It was the younger guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, coming up, thank you for that info. Coming up on DBL, the head of the Secret Service speaks out after Saturday's assassination attempt. Should she resign? Plus, Dr. Coley is here to talk about Trump's recovery. Could he have hearing loss? Stay tuned for that. Welcome back to DBL. So the Secret Service is under intense scrutiny following the assassination attempt over the weekend. Here's some of what the director Kimberly Cheadle had to say about it last night on ABC News. Take a look.
The Secret Service is responsible for the protection of the former president. The buck stops with me. I am the director of the Secret Service. It was unacceptable, and it's something that shouldn't happen again.
So Kimberly also said that while the Secret Service was responsible for security for the inner perimeter, right, like in the cordon, as they say, at the rally, the local police were responsible for the outer perimeter where the shooter was. She also said police were actually in that building. Speaking of which, this is insane. The Washington Post analyzed this footage from the event. It found that police were warned of the shooter at least 86 seconds. That's almost a minute and a half before he took his first shot. They're saying he's getting up, he's running, he's walking, he's laying down. We also heard from President Biden last night, and Biden revealed what was said on the phone call with Trump that he had. Take a look at this.
Very cordial. I told him how concerned I was and wanted to make sure I knew how he was actually doing. He sounded good. He said he was fine, and he thanked me for calling him. I told him he was literally in the prayers of Jill and me, and I hope his whole family was weathering this.
So I just want to know all of your takes on this. Was this really the fault of the Secret Service? My prediction, if you want it, is that Ms. Cheadle will be immediately fired. She will be going in front of the House for a testimony in terms of an investigation. But you take the head off.
Some people would call that a grill sesh.
Yeah, a grill sesh. It'll be hard, but I see her leaving the position. What do we guys think of blaming the local law enforcement? And could there not have been drones? Some kind of air, any kind of air helicopter, and even don't spend for a helicopter because it wasn't that big of an event. Get a drone up there in the vantage points like you said yesterday, Jeff. What do you think?
Yeah, there's so many different directions I could go with this, but just speaking to like law enforcement and service people in general.
Yeah.
I don't know if their hands are kind of tied in a situation like this because there's been so much outcry of police shooting without, having reason to, and all these other things. So I know there's that one guy who gave that interview he's like, I've been telling you for 5 minutes there's a guy up there.
Yeah, and
there was no reaction. And obviously the other guy was aimed at him. So is it because of the society we live in now that we've created that the Secret Service can't take a shot at that guy without knowing more or having proof or waiting for him to act first before they react?
I hear you, but they could have gotten shot.
You don't think so?
I think the Secret Service would take anybody out that was in.
People saw him, though, and the Secret Service were notified, and the guy who gave the shot was looking that way, too. There are a lot of questions on the table.
I agree with you.
I wonder if the hesitation from the social movement these last couple of years
because of
is like, I don't want to pull this trigger without knowing what this kid's doing. What if it's a kid just playing up there?
Right, but
and then you shoot him and it's a whole different story.
Agree completely, but if that's true, take Trump away from the podium. Get him out of there. If you see something with somebody that's suspicious, they would immediately, why wasn't any action taken for so long?
Yeah.
Why?
Because it was a huge you-know-what. And I think a lot of times, Jeff, we look for reasons, may they be social or somebody's scared. Sometimes people just drop the ball.
Yeah.
And the simplest answer is usually the correct one, and they failed.
And you want to arm teachers, huh?
Every time we watch a movie,
you want to arm teachers.
Yeah,
Give me a break.
It's Kevin Costner on an earpiece and a helicopter shoots a bazooka.
Okay.
But in real life, they just dropped the ball.
I just got to say this. You want to arm teachers, but Secret Service were surrounding him and couldn't stop him.
But the teacher would be reactionary.
Yeah.
I think that's a different subject, and I don't think that's fair. But I think a teacher would be reactionary, taking action first.
I would think that they would be.
Secret Service should be on the defense and the offense at all times.
But if you shoot a kid that's playing up there, what happens to Trump?
Service.
Yeah.
I
We're
get
not
it.
even talking about local. Like, this is a Secret Service. Secret Service should have been over everything that's happening, including local law enforcement. Like, there's no two ways about this.
I don't think you take that shot in today's day.
I think you absolutely do.
Service.
All right, well, let us know what you guys think. Good argument. We'll be right back. Welcome back to DBL. So we're continuing our conversation about the attempt on Donald Trump's life over the weekend with our favorite medical expert, Dr. Coley. Thank you for being here. Let us start, though, with the basics. Trump was hit in the right ear, and his doctor from when he was president is speaking out about the injury. I want you to take a look about this.
There was no concussive effect from the bullet, and it just took the top of his ear off, a little bit of the top of his ear off as it passed through, and it was bleeding like crazy because, the ear's pretty vascular and bleeds pretty badly. And, I bandaged it up pretty good this morning because it's not like a clean laceration like you would have with a knife or a blade. It's a bullet track going by.
So what's the recovery process for an injury like this? Will he need surgery? Is it stitches? What is it?
So this outer part of our ear, it's called the pinna or the auricle, and it's involved in sort of funneling the sound waves into our ear. It's made of cartilage and skin. So as he said, if it was a laceration, just a cut, you could just suture it back together or staple it together. But if you actually have a defect in the cartilage, it potentially could require reconstructive surgery, especially if you want to maintain the appearance of the ear. And sometimes they'll do a cartilage graft, or sometimes they'll even use some synthetic material to kind of fill in the ear. But if you don't want to change the shape of the ear and there's actually a defect, a piece of cartilage missing, you might actually have to reconstruct that. So I'm not sure how much of his ear he lost, but if he lost a substantial amount, it's potentially possible he might need a reconstructive procedure.
Could this lead to any hearing loss? We did see that New York Times picture of the bullet whizzing by. That's really close to the inner ear.
Yes, and so gunshot wounds can lead to all kinds of problems with hearing in many different levels. So one is called acoustic trauma. It's such a loud sound that you can actually have sudden onset, complete hearing loss.
Oh, wow.
The second is the sound and or the pressure that's created by that sort of sudden change near your ear. Your ear feels that pressure, and there's little tiny bones in your ear that help you hear. You can actually fracture or damage those bones. And then we all have these little tiny cells in our ear called hair cells that are extremely sensitive. This is why we always say with AirPods, you don't want to listen to them too loud because they're very sensitive to noises. And if you damage those, you can have that. A lot of people after a gunshot, they hear a gunshot really loud, can have ringing or tinnitus in the ears, and that can be a buzzing. So I hope he's had a hearing test or at least been evaluated by an ENT to check and make sure that nothing internal has happened to the ear.
Wow.
Can you give us your take on Trump's mental state or mental health after the shooting?
Yeah, this is such a tough one. We always talk about President Trump as the president. We don't talk about him as a person. But suddenly now he's become one of the many Americans who's witnessed a shooting. In fact, he was a target of this particular shooting. It's really hard to predict how people will respond. But what the science tells us is that the way people respond often depends on their underlying personality. So people who are more extroverted, like Trump, are more likely to actually have PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, after this type of an event, because they can have trouble sort of coping with some of their emotions or really knowing how to process them. They can also have a withdrawal phenomena or hypervigilance, meaning their every sound sort of startles them, and they can react with potentially more aggression. So that's kind of one end of the spectrum, the PTSD, the fear, the kind of amped up. The other end, which we actually saw with Reagan in 1981, was after, he got shot, he actually became more spiritual. And he said God saved him so that he could, improve his relationships with the Soviet Union and such. So it's really hard to predict, but a lot of his underlying personality, as well as the challenges placed on him over the next few months, are going to determine, I think, what sort of response he has. But I hope that he's seeing somebody at least talking about what he's been through, because this is a physical and psychological trauma.
Yeah, we have to say our prayers go out to the Trump family. That is a difficult thing to go through and then jump back right into the campaign. That's very scary. Thank you so much for joining us today, Doc. DBL Nation, follow Dr. Coley on social media at Pyle Coley MD. Also be sure to subscribe to her YouTube page. Plus, check out her podcast, Heart of Medicine, wherever you listen to your podcast. Thanks again. We'll be right back. Really good info. Thank you. Welcome back. We've got some great products from our friends at Morning Save. Check them out. Steph, what do you have for us today?
First up today, we've got the certified renewed Shark Wand Vac Power Cordless Handheld Vacuum.
It's so cute.
The best bit about this is that it weighs less than 1.5 pounds, making it easy to get into all the little crevices in your home. And this is a certified renewed vacuum which has been professionally restored to like new working condition. So normally this is $150 when it's new. We have got this certified renewed one for $59.99.
Okay.
That's saving you guys 60%, and vacuums are very expensive.
Especially when you're dealing with one with that kind of a name behind it.
Up next, we have the 60-pack Demora 24 karat gold eye patches.
Oh.
These 24 karat gold infused under eye masks have multiple vitamins to help nourish and boost dull, tired looking skin.
That's what I have.
And normally these are $38. We've got a 60-pack for $12. That's saving 68%. Oh, and now look at this, Tori. We've got the Cuisinart Kitchen Central 3-in-1 food processor, blender, juicer.
What?
You've got everything you need here.
Wow.
You're going to be saving time and your counter space with this one device. Normally, this is $275. We've got this entire bundle for $119.99, which is saving 56%.
This is genius.
And then last but not least today, so handy, we've got the 9-pack hang and fold travel hangers. So these are great because all you have to do is fold your clothes around the hanger, and then when you get to your hotel, your clothes are ready for the closet.
This is fabulous.
And normally they are $90.
Ooh.
We have got the pack, however, for $19.99.
Thank you.
That is saving 78%.
All right, guys, head on over to morningsave.com to snag these amazing deals at the lowest prices, or you can scan that QR code on screen. It'll take you directly to all these products on Morning Save's website. Thank you so much, Steph. We love sharing your comments. This is about Amber Rose. Mark said, Amber Rose speaking truth is the most hysterical moment of the night. I appreciate that. Megan said she cashed her check.
Yeah. What do I say? Check cleared. But
her conscience is not cleared.
But maybe it is. This may be what she believes. I mean, look.
Believes. It's not the truth. She said she checked the facts on Trump not being a racist, Central Park 5, the Muslim ban. You can go on and on with this. There's issues there.
I'm not saying I agree with her, but you can't say that that's not her truth.
Yeah, it's just not the right truth. Okay. DBL is new every day. We'll see you same time, same place tomorrow. Bye, guys.